in the terms of all of this greater European idea. Even Zbigniew Brzezinski, the great passionate, ardent enthusiast for NATO enlargement, in his book of 1997, much misquoted, but The Grand Chessboard, he did say he wanted NATO enlargement, but he did say at some point, I've forgotten what page number, he actually said, of course, this can only take place within the framework of a larger pan-European security framework with Russia. So even he and later on he developed that idea even more, virulently anti-Russian and so on. And of course with William Burns, George Kennan and so on, who made similar arguments. So Europe, in other words, failed to take control of its own destiny. That this logic of expansion was driven by Washington. Of course, there was a demand for it from the former communist countries in Eastern Europe, but a demand generated, of course, in large part because of the absence of a coherent alternative. And you can understand why they'd want to join NATO, which is the only thing on offer. When there was the Partnership for Peace, if not the Council of Europe, but if the OSCE, Organization for Security and Conference in Europe, could have developed as an alternative, then the game would have been more complicated. But as it is, it expanded. And of course, it generated, as you say, endless tensions, endless conflict, and it ended up where we are. But the deeper thing is, as I say, after 1989, Europe failed to disengage itself from the political West. So NATO enlargement wasn't just about bringing in Eastern Europe or enlarging. It was also a way of maintaining US hegemony over Western Europe itself. Quite explicitly, actually. I've just recently been looking into this question. In Bosnia, when, if you remember, in 1990-91, this Luxembourg politician Poust said, "This is the hour of Europe has struck." And in the first year, 91, 92, Europe says to Washington, "Keep out of it. This is our backyard. We'll deal with this." And of course, the United States then Germany did premature recognition of Croatia, didn't help, but the Europeans ultimately were unable to deal with it. US deliberately then comes in, blocks what was earlier versions, the Badinter and earlier plan of Vanso and in Bosnia. Anyway, we could go into all this detail, but bottom line was that after 1989, it wasn't just, we keep talking about NATO enlargement, it was the mere fact of NATO remaining was a way of ensuring that the United States